Welcome to A Few Thoughts. I'm your host, Malcolm Hayes, here with my co-host, Jamequa Stevens.
Hey, hey, hey.
Um, this is season 2. Welcome to season 2. And today we have a special episode with some special guests. Two people that are very important and prominent in my life. Wouldn't be here without them, literally. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the owners and founders of Mr. J's Media Productions, Mr. Jamel and Simone Hayes.
All right, I go first. I'm co-owner of Mr. J's Media Productions. Like Malcolm said, I'm Jamel Hayes, and we offer pretty much digital media services. I consider myself a digital media specialist. I have a background in graphics, graphic designs, and graphic arts. And we pretty much do video marketing we do PSAs, we do small and large scale corporate events, from photography to video productions, and we also do digital archiving in-house. So, and media conversions where we actually go in and do photo restorations. We convert files over to the formats that people need for their websites and graphics.
And I'm Simone, co-owner of Mr. J's Media Productions. I assist with all the above. I particularly interact with clients, especially when we have portrait sessions or any large group events. We work well together in getting all the clients satisfied and making sure that the product is...
That's really great. I have been there along the whole time, really. I'm really fascinated by the business just because of everything that he does all under one name. How efficiently it gets done as well. And just the growth, over the almost 20 years now. Yeah, so I thought this episode would really be great for millennials and what's the word that we call? Oh, the quote unquote old heads. No disrespect. The veterans, the seasoned and veterans of the business world. So I guess my first question would kind of be, how did you get started in everything that you do, or what?
Unemployment for one. I was working in environmental service at the local hospital, and I had a back injury, and I was out of work for about a year and a half. And when I finally got released to go back to work, I pretty much had to go for state retraining and try to find like a job that I would be able to sit or stand for minimum amount of times, I guess you could say. So I used to read these small business magazines, and I picked up one for how could you start a business for under $1,000 back then, and they had like a list of businesses, and one of them was desktop publishing. And I had started playing around with a computer I bought from a rental center for about $125, and that's how it all began. I finally did get a job at a call center, and was going back to school for graphic designs. And yeah, that's pretty much how I started. I started making like mixtapes back in the day at work, and the call center had on a shift it might be 300 to 400 people in there, and I just hit like a little niche where most people didn't have computers and they couldn't make custom CDs at the time, and that's where it all grew from. I ended up quitting that job and still taking orders from from there, and then something said, hey, you should get a storefront. So I ended up opening like a little record shop, and then I started DJing on the weekends. And from DJing, I was still going to school for graphics. I picked up a camera I got from a guy off the streets for about, I think, $80 at the time. Started playing around with that when I was DJing weddings and stuff, and I give the bride and groom their photos. And I got my first gig from there to do wedding photography. And at the same time, while I still had the record store, in the back I had an editing station where I would edit the videos, edit photos, and do graphics. And I started making t-shirts with a heat press machine. I bought a heat press machine, which was considered expensive at the time from a guy for $225, and it quickly paid for itself because I would take the graphics, I would design the t-shirts, custom design them for people, and charge them X amount of dollars for a personalized design that nobody else could get. So that's how I get here today, and it just gradually spun off from there. I guess that's kind of long-winded. Yeah.
That's good.
How would you say you build a successful customer base? The best way to go by doing that?
Mostly word of mouth. Social media did help my business a lot because I was one of the first people, when the MySpace transitioned over to Facebook. And that really spiked my business. But even before social media, I really didn't do a lot of advertisement. It was word of mouth, and I just always like pretty much back my word. If I said I was going to do something, I would do it. And I would, even if I made a mistake on something, I would make sure that the customer was happy at the end point. For a long time, I went out a long time, and I still feel that the customer is always right. In business, you do have hiccups, but how quickly can you resolve that issue that you have with a client? And just being straightforward. Marketing wise, how would I bring new clients in? Wear your brand. I mean, a lot of people, they show up at events or whatever, and they'll have somebody else's name on their clothes or something like that. I always wear my brand. I had a van for a long time, and I had a high traffic area, but when they were wrapping vans, and I mean, a lot of luck goes into it. For some reason, people just, certain people were brought into my life. Like a guy, he just wanted to test out wrapping vans, and he was like, he did my window, and he was like, hey, bring your van over here. And I took my van to him, and I was like, what are you gonna do? He was like, we're gonna wrap it. I was like, so how much is this gonna cost? He was like, we're gonna wrap it for free. And he wrapped it for free, and I parked it right on a main strip every morning when I opened the door to go to work. So it was like a mobile billboard. client base, the most struggle I had is when I changed locations. And now, even last week, I had somebody say like, "Hey, I went looking for you at your old location and you weren't there." And I haven't been there 8 years. So, yeah,
I'll chime in here for a little bit, but I think as far as the retaining your clients, and I think a lot of that, like he said, is making sure the client is satisfied, and then recovering from whatever hiccups you may have right away. But customers like when you're attentive to them, like when you pay attention. You're not just selling them something here, exchanging money. They want you to pay attention to them. Like, whenever we do events or a photo shoot, he's in the camera most of the time, and it's, he's looking at the product inside the camera. He's not waiting until he gets to the office to edit to look at the image to see what's wrong with it. He's looking right then in the camera. So, and then I'm, paying attention to their clothes and their hair, if something is off, making sure their shirt's straight and that kind of stuff, because that makes them feel like you're paying attention to them. And I don't do it just because it makes them feel like you're paying attention to them, but if they have a wrinkle in their shirt or their shirt is crooked, and you can't fix that when he's editing, there's no way to fix that. Mm-hmm. When they get their prints, they're going to be like, dang, I like that picture, but my shirt's so crooked. They're not going to choose that image. So if that's fixed first off, when you give them their gallery with all their images, even for me, when I go to choose the images to put in their gallery, it's always hard for me because they have a lot of great images, unless they just they had stuff going on or whatever. But initially, meeting the client's need right where they are, making sure that they're happy in that moment, not waiting till after the fact. Well, I guess we could have fixed your shirt, but I didn't realize it, Mm-hmm. And now our clients look for both of us together. Most of our clients don't, even though he worked by himself for a long time, now that we're both working together, it's like, okay, where's Simona? If I show up first, where's Mr. J? It's not, we're not, individual anymore. I'm now Mrs. J. I'm not, I'm not Simone, I'm Mrs. J. And clients refer each other because of that, because they feel like we're going to pay attention to them. And we have clients that have been our clients for years. Like, we've done their parents, their children, grandchildren, and it's like, that makes me feel a little old, but making sure that your client feels comfortable and important to you, not just the dollars that they're going to spend, but making sure that they feel important to you. That's the main thing, and I think that's what has really caused a lot of the recurring clients.
In the couples, I mean, the his and her, it's it's not twofold. It's like, I guess they say synergy. Like she said, once we started working together, as a couple, like my client or our client base grew, because it's just certain stuff I could do myself, but there's always a woman's touch is always needed, especially like with brides and grooms. It just makes it more comfortable, and like she said, just the handling, how you handle the customer, and the end result of the product. So, and it's all been a learning experience. So, but.
What's something both of you had to learn in order to make the partnership work?
I think we kind of touched on this in a different conversation yesterday, but learning each other's style of work, learning that, as we clock in together, it's not always easy to to do things your own way as you're going through the day. So it's Mr. J's Media Productions. It's Jamel's business. I'm his assistant, pretty much, for the most part. So he knows exactly what he wants done as far as from a photography standpoint. He's the technician. I'm not the technician. So whenever he gives me a direction, sometimes I don't understand what the point of that is, but okay, whatever, that's what you want to do, fine. I'll go ahead and do that particular task because he knows what he wants. I don't particularly understand exactly what he's going for, but okay, that's a task that we need to complete right now to get this job done. Let's just get the job done. We both have different working styles, and we both express ourselves differently under pressure. So I had to learn that sometimes even his facial expression, when we're working, sometimes I have to tell him, smile, everybody can see you. They can see your face, because he's very expressive. And even if he's not mad, if he's thinking really hard about something, or if he's, frustrated or something like that, it shows on his face. The audience may look at him and think he's mad about something, or whether he's mad or not, they don't need to know that he's mad, or that his facial expression doesn't have to show what exactly is going on. So we help each other in that way because, I can kind of sometimes gently remind him, smile, we're in front of people. And then sometimes he has to remind me that there are technical issues with this job that need to be addressed, because sometimes I tend to be more of the friendly, one, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? And he'd be like, come on, man, we got to get this done, And so it's learning that, our styles are different, and learning to let those differences complement each other versus
stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, even though we do that too.
So, yeah, she pretty much wrapped it up. If I'm doing a live event, or I call it getting tunnel vision. Like, I'm really trying to get the best product in the end result. So, and we do work different. It's always been my thing is I know how I get to the end result, but for me to map it out for you, that's where the problem comes in. And she's more of a practical person, where give her a blueprint, she can do it. But mine is like, here it is. I can't tell you how I got it done, but you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
So, and that's just two different personalities. But it's a dance, and you learn to dance together. So, and that's what we've learned.
The other part I'd like to add to that is not only in business, because we're not only business partners, but we're husband and wife too. Mm-hmm. So I think the thing is that you have to sometimes remember, okay, is he or she, the partner, is that person being critical because they want to be mean, or are they being critical because they're trying to accomplish something? Yeah. So, there are times when we're at events and I'm pissed off because he's just, growled at me for, I'm just trying to be helpful here, and you know, what. So, and I'm mad, so I'm doing what I need to do. I'm being nice and friendly, and I'm smiling at everybody, and everybody thinks we're just the best couple in the world.
We are.
Yes, we are, right. And in those moments, I'm like, we're just trying to make it through that event. We're just trying to make it through that event. That's pretty much,
That don't happen often.
And it does not. And it doesn't happen often. But being, that the point that I was trying to make is, remembering that we're not trying to piss each other off intentionally. If I say something to him like, Jamel, you got to remember to this, or, did you remember to get that, or whatever, I'm not trying to pick at him like, you're forgetful, you know you need to, it is about just trying to make sure that we have everything that we need done. And by him directing me, you need to go ahead and hit record when we get there. It's not just, him trying to be, just drop a hammer. It's, he wants to make sure things, because things happen. We've had issues in the past where, things aren't recorded, or we missed, something or whatever. So
a long time ago.
And yeah, it is, but things happen. And so those things that happen make us more anxious and nervous. Even though we've been doing this for years, every time we have a wedding, I get the jitters, because it's like you can reschedule a photo shoot.
Yeah.
You can reschedule a family portrait session. Okay, a corporate business meeting. Okay, fine. We have to, but we can reschedule that. You can't reschedule a wedding day. So wedding days are the most stressful because you don't want to miss anything, because you can't redo it.
Yeah.
Anything there? Okay.
What is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
He works 11 to 3. That's my jealous response.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I read the 4-hour week. So,
4-hour work day.
Yeah, the 4-hour work day. I think it's called. I can't recall the author, but if you look it up, you'll find it. And that's been my goal. Is I like to read most of the magazines, but I read a lot of books too. And that's one of the rewarding things is I love to make my own schedule. That's one of the things I like. And it's exhilarating. I mean, for me, it's game time. Once I walk out the door and get in my car, like sometimes I'm too serious, because on the way to work I'm thinking about what needs to get done today so I can be out of the office by 2:00. So most days I will go in early, but most days I arrive at 10 and I'm trying to get out the door by 3:00, and I like that. So I can, I still have a lot of the day. That's one of the most rewarding parts right now. So,
what keeps you motivated when business slows up?
Plies. I'm sorry. I thought you asked me what was on my playlist at the beginning.
Right.
I mean, you can't tell us the music that keeps you going throughout the week.
I don't know, man. It's just something about once you taste success, is you're out looking for that. I mean, yeah, I get frustrated. Like right now, my downtime will be June, July, and August. Everything starts slowing down. But that's why the first quarter I'm trying to store up, and make as much money as I can to make me ride smoothly through those 3 months. But the motivation is, I mean, once you see what you can make, like, that's what I'm looking to either do or do it again. Even with my new adventure, I was telling my wife, one of my goals was to make X amount from one painting before the year is over with, and that's my motivation. Like I was telling somebody yesterday about vision boards. Like, you know, a lot of people, oh, they don't believe in vision boards. I believe in them, and it's just something when you set it in your mind and you put that energy out there, it happens. If you get up in the morning and your focus is to grow your business and be relentless about it, it's gonna happen. Networking. That's one of the things a lady taught me that right after the economy dropped. She I was like down in the dump. And she was like, hey, have you tried networking? Before that, it was all word of mouth. And I was like, no, not really. She was like, well, I'm going to take you around. One day, she took me to 3 networking events. And I learned how to network, and that gave my business a new breath of fresh air, new life. And people get to know you. You don't and one of my key things I would say, when you go networking, don't network holding your business card like, hey, this is me. This is what I'm about. It's going to come around. Small talk, somebody's going to ask you what you do. Then you go into your pitch. But when you show up at networking events, show up as a sociable guy. And that's what people are going to remember you for, being sociable, not for shoving a card in their face. When I showed up, I would just stand on the wall and just look around. And literally, people would have to come and move me off the wall. And then after a while, it was like, hey, Jamel, how you doing? Then the phone started ringing. Such and such from Chamber of Commerce referred us to you. Okay, all right. That's how it happens. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good. Miss Hayes, how did you manage your day job and helping him?
Well, that's been a challenge because, when I first started helping him, I was working 8-hour shifts. So whenever we had events that were mostly on the weekends, I'd do paperwork and different tasks during the evening time when I got off of work. Now I'm working 12-hour shifts 3 days a week, so I have more days available to go to the office, so I don't get a day off, really. No, but my hours and my shifts are more flexible now, so I'm available to do more depending on what we have scheduled. It's a work in progress. It's a challenge. Some weeks work better than other weeks, but my challenge is making sure that I'm carving out some time for myself. And that's where, I'm a doer. I tend to do more than I probably should sometimes, so I don't give myself time. So I'm working on that, but it's flexible. It's depends on how the weeks go, depends on how our schedules are. So, but it works. It's a challenge and it's a work in progress. Just depends on what the flow of the schedules are.
Is there anything that you didn't know about him that you learned throughout the years of working with him?
That shit went out of the room for this. How they do they put a little noise cancellation headphones on. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to hear this. What makes you think I need to hear this?
Okay, well, that's kind of a hard question, but I guess when Well, I learned that we work differently for sure. That I did learn that we work differently. We have totally different ways of approaching a project. He works with all of his projects around him as available. He can easily access all of his projects anywhere he's working. And I prefer to like have my things more streamlined. That was a dog. Streamlined, I have to have things in a particular order. I kind of, either prioritize or have a list or something that I can kind of cross off when I've had things done. That works best for me. So for the most part, it's learning his work style and figuring out the best way for us to work together and get everything done and still maintain our own style of working. Yes, and the best way for me to work is not to touch my desk. Because then I have to get it back together before I can really start working.
Every week.
What would you all say are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
Here we go. Allegra? Flexibility, relentless. Is that a skill?
Mm-hmm. Relentlessness.
Yeah, relentlessness. The relentlessness word. We'll get back to the high school years pretty soon.
One more.
A lot of people take risks in life for a lot of aspects in their life. But if you want to be a risk taker, be an entrepreneur, because it's a roll of dice, man. I mean, you gotta know. You gotta know that you're gonna get back up every time you get knocked down, because you're gonna get knocked down. Rebranding. If you watch any of the big companies, like they're always rebranding, packaging the product, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you have to be consistent." Yeah, be consistent in repackaging, making your product better.
Were there ever any moments where you almost quit?
1, 2,
16, 17.
Yesterday. Last week. Let's see. Rebranding, okay. When they changed the laws about mixtapes, I pretty much, they made making mixtapes illegal or whatever they did. That was a major dip in my business. So I had to definitely go back to the drawing board and try to strengthen the other branches of my business to actually stand up, because the foundation of my business was on music, in the storefront, foot traffic. So then I had to actually sit my wife down and tell her, like, I'm gonna have to get serious about photography and video productions and DJing. So I actually, cause this all happened like right when the economy dropped. So I worked from home for 3.5 years?
Almost 4, I think.
Almost 4 years. Then I relocated, got me a new office, new /studio, and experienced a lot of growth. And then I think I priced myself out, as they would call it. So I used to be, every month I would do 3, sometimes 4 weddings. And then I raised my prices, and you could whistle out there. And you didn't hear in the wedding. So then the weddings started coming back, and then now I experienced so much growth. I actually had to start pruning back because video marketing was taking off, and those accounts were bigger accounts. But I also had people emailing me about weddings, which used to be my bread and butter. But now I have video marketing, and these accounts are bigger. They take more of your attention, and a project could be 3 to 4 months. So yeah, it's been a lot of times I actually wanted to quit, because sometimes when I prune back, as I call it, the accounts slow up, and I'd be like, kick myself like, oh, So I say it's been about 3 times in the last 18 years that I was like, I'm gonna go. I seriously thought about going to work for somebody. But that's where you roll the dice.
Being that you're really popular in the area and have been for a long time, you get a lot of friends and even old friends and family members that come in looking for discounts and whatnot. How did you manage that, and how did you let it not take the business under?
Oh man, why you had to put that one on the table?
I'll start out.
This is my no person. When you can't say no. See, that's the thing of being partnerships. You play on each other's strengths and weaknesses. So, push this microphone on over here. Please talk to the customer, baby. Tell them we got these 4 kids for you.
And that's been a challenge, and it still is, because all these people he grew up with, so everybody is fam, cuz when it comes to, writing a check. So, I don't know them as no fam and no cuz. And so even so, sometimes you just have to, and even now I've, gotten to know a lot of people and a lot of his family and friends and stuff, but business is business. So our price is what it is. And there's sometimes if we have recurring clients or customers that, have been with us for a while, and, we want to retain their business and also, give them a benefit for being a long-time customer. We'll give them a discount. But basically, and the thing is, a lot of people do try to play on that fam cuz, thing, we're family, give me a discount. A few people. Yes, a few people. But, I'm generally the one that, at that point will talk to them and say, this is what our price is, I'll talk with Jamel about, what options we have, and then we'll go from there. But you have to kind of, especially with that regard, you have to develop a thick skin and be able to say no, because otherwise, you can price yourself out of business. You can discount yourself out of business dealing with some people. So yeah, you it's hard to say no sometimes, but you have to be willing to turn down a job or a project, because if you keep saying yes to everything, or giving everybody a discount for everything, then everybody's going to keep coming for the discount because who wants to pay, all the money? So.
Yep, that's pretty much something. But I just add that like she said, when I first started out, everybody got discounts, and not everybody, but I didn't mind the discounts or whatever. And we all as small business owners, you all start out, doing stuff that you kick yourself years later for. But as you become more seasoned in the business, you're going to be able to see how things pan out with a client. You're gonna learn to go with your intuition. It's like, and I've learned that. Like, I just from a phone interview with a client, I could tell, like, how this is gonna go. Are they all about the money? Are they really serious about this being a project that they're gonna use from an investment? Is it gonna be an investment for them, or are they just kicking tires? So that's something that as you get older in your businesses, you will find that out. Like, you'll be able to say, like, you know what, I don't think this is a good project for me. And I was so happy when I got to that point where I could actually say, well, you know what, I think I'm gonna have to pass on this one.
And there's some projects or some jobs that we would love to do, but we know financially it's not going to be beneficial for us. The amount of work that we put into our projects, I mean, we don't just put something together and throw it out there. We really work hard at our projects. So we can't just take pennies for, our work because somebody, unfortunately somebody can't afford it or they don't want to pay what it's worth. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Is it worth your time? Whether you like them or not, is it worth your time? Whether they like you or not, is it worth your time? Or is this a donation that you're willing to give to whatever organization it is?
And just, a nugget that I would tell younger entrepreneurs is, when it comes to your value and your time, one of the things that I've learned is that, if you're working for a paycheck, that's your value time. When you clock in, if you're getting paid $20 to $30 an hour, that's how much your boss thinks you're worth. So a lot of young entrepreneurs, they undervalue themselves, and that's the quickest way to go out of business. You have to find a happy medium. You don't want to price yourself out, and then you don't want to underprice yourself, because if you underprice yourself, when are you ever gonna make money to actually pour back into your business? If you're underpricing yourself, think about it. You have to eat from that money. You got to put gas in your car. So how are you going to grow your business? How are you going to buy the products that you need or the merchandise that you need? The equipment, the gear. So you got to figure out how much time you're putting into man hours you're putting into a project, or even if it's a merchandise, how many man hours it takes to make this. Then I always say, whatever number you come up with, times it by 3. So right now I know if I edit something on my computer, the time, and when I say time, I mean man hours, all the way down to the power in the computer for an hour. I know that, and then that's what I put into my price. That's the way you make a profitable business.
As far as your artwork, where do you get your inspiration from?
Okay.
Everywhere.
I get inspiration from everywhere. And art is it's pretty much anybody's interpretation. What I try to convey is, if I had to sum it up in a few words, I would say perfectly imperfection. That's how
Perfect imperfection.
Because I feel like it's a bit chaotic, but it all comes together in the end. And like I kind of say that's my life. So, but yeah, inspiration. I mean, I just whatever my eyes drawn to, that's pretty much like I take that and I just put it on canvas and then I try to pull it all together. And sometimes I like when I don't know where it's going, and those seem to be the most strongest pieces when I can't see the end result, and I'm just having fun with it. So.
But do you like from magazines, internet?
Internet, my phone, my camera phone. If I pass by something, like when I walk her,
The dog.
Riri, when I walk my dog, I'll actually stop and be taking pictures of flowers, and then the flowers will never look the same when I get back. But I use like the motion of the flower, the way the petals fold or something like that. All of that, the way it bends or angles, I use all of that. I put it in there. So,
Mrs. Hayes, what motivated you to start showing your own creativity?
Well, my creativity has come out in my small business called Boutique Mona Lisa. Well, that's the name of my Etsy page. Because I'm a nurse, so initially my stethoscope, carrying it around my neck, it was irritating the skin and the nerve in the back of my neck. So I wanted some way to protect my neck from that irritation. So I started looking for ways to cover the stethoscope. I saw that they have stethoscope covers online in different places, but I'm a seamstress at heart. Not a big time seamstress, but I do so. So I made myself a stethoscope cover. And then while I was working, I realized that while I'm doing patient care, that the cover for the stethoscope was touching the patients. And so going from patient to patient, I could be transferring germs from one patient to another. So I figured out a way to be able to shorten the stethoscope cover so that it's not touching the patient. So you can go between patients, cleaning your stethoscope in between, and still have the cover that you can lengthen after your finished patient care, so it still has the coverage and the style or whatever, and the protectivity of it, while you're using the stethoscope. So that's really what initiated that business, because I made my own, and then somebody else saw it and said, "Oh, that's cute, can you make me one?" And it just kind of snowballed from there. And once I really started researching stethoscope covers, none of them that I've seen online have the option to shorten it. So I figured that's a way to make mine unique.
No, you just told the whole world.
Oh. Well.
Mr. J, seeing how you've evolved into an artist in the last year and a half, 2 years.
My mixtape coming out soon.
Not a rap artist or a music artist. What are some of the struggles you found in being a painter that you're working through?
Everybody think I'm a highwayman.
he's added another skill to his array of skills, there's more, I think, there's more pressure on him to, it's like, okay, well, what else can you do? Well, what else can you do? Well, what else can you do? That's the question that I hear asked often. So,
what can I do?
Or what can't he do? Right.
Fold my clothes, coordinate my clothes.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess it's just breaking stereotypes, if anything. I mean, cause right now I'm just having fun with it. I mean, I do treat it like a business. I do treat it like a business.
I know it's work. Every weekend we go out art shows.
But my main bread and butter business is digital. So my struggle is like I'm actually trying to do everything analog. Like I'm really trying to stay away from manipulating images or anything digital. It's just I want the hands-on rawness of like I did digital for 18 years, so I know what I can do inside of a computer system. Now I want to see what I can do, with my hands, with the paint, with the pen, with the charcoal. So that's the biggest struggle I have right now.
Okay. With Mr. J's media productions, how do you see that evolving in the next 5 years?
One of the things I'm really focused on is capturing accounts nationwide. That's been one of my biggest focus. Is strengthening my web presence. And yeah, actually, the digital archiving side of my business, I want to see that grow where I go to the post office and there's 5 or 6 projects for me to pick up. And, foot traffic is good. I love to see foot traffic come through the door, but I want to see more traffic come through my internet. So pretty much go into like a national size business.
Okay. Jamequa, being that you're the beginner or in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, are there any more specific questions that you have for them?
No, I think they answered pretty much all the questions that I had. So yeah.
Okay. Mr. J, do you have any tips for the younger generation, if any at all? I know we talked about a lot and you divulged a lot of information, but do you have any other tips that you would just want to throw out there?
Pretty much it's a don't give up tip. The first business I actually started was tree and lawn service. That's the first business license I ever owned. And I tell people a lot of businesses start at home at a kitchen table, but always treat your business from the beginning as a legit business. I mean, paperwork wise, and I never forget. I asked one of my bosses I worked for. His calendar would be marked up, but he always have 3 calendars, and I was like, why he got all these old calendars? So what he was doing is he would, it was like an almanac. He knew last year what he made that week. So he'd go 3 years back right on this wall. And if you ever want to sell a business, or you ever think about one day I want to be able to sell this business, you need that paperwork. You need that documentation of the growth in your business, the blueprint, as they call it.
That's really smart. I ain't never think about that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hayes, being that you've been beside him the whole time, do you have any tips for any assistants or anybody in your position?
Well, number one, remember who the boss is. So he reminds me every day.
51%.
No.
But no, but for the assistant, remember who the boss is. You're not the business owner, you're not the boss. So you take direction from the boss. What is your purpose for being the assistant? Are you just trying to learn everything you can so you can go start your own business? Or are you there to really, really, truly be a part of the business and help? I'm invested. We're married and business partners, so I don't have, the option of, well, I do, in a sense, have the option to go off and start my own business. Photography, if I wanted to. I mean, anybody can do anything. But I'm invested in the business and in our marriage, so I'm not. I haven't decided to do that yet.
No.
Hey, competition is healthy.
But remembering, who the boss is and what your purpose is. And I think for the business owner, if you're going to get an assistant, that needs to be something that you keep in mind, that whoever you get to work for you or with you, there needs to be an open mind as to, how much they're going to help, what capacity they're going to help in, how much they're going to do, because, he's been in business for a long time, and we've had a lot of people come and work with us and work alongside us, and some of those people haven't lasted. Part of the reason, they think they know what the business is all about, and then they go off and do it on their own, and it's not like that, So it's a hard place to be if you're not invested. So that my tip for assistants out there, if you're going to work for someone, be invested if that's what you're going to do. But that's my tip to anybody who's going to work anywhere anyway. If you're doing a job, do the job like it's your job.
Yep, and get those no contingent contracts.
That's right.
I don't know what that is.
You better look it up.
So your assistants, they can't be working for you and running off doing their own little side hustle photography gigs. If they're working for Mr. J's Media Production, they're working for Mr. J's Media Production.
Yeah, we filed with the quitting. Any final thoughts from anybody? Anybody want to say something, announce anything? Mr. J, you want to shout out your websites and social medias?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, JD Creative. Facebook, Jamel Hayes. Websites, JamelHayes.com for artwork, JamelandSimone.com for weddings and event photography. And then for digital media, you can find us at MrJ'sMediaProductions.com. Thank you.
Jamequa,
you can find me online at jlsdiamondboutique.com. My Instagram is Jamequa Stevens, JamequaStevens, and you can also find me on Facebook at Jamequa Stevens.
My Etsy page for my stethoscope covers is Boutique Mona Lisa, all one word. You can find my stethoscope covers and matching bags there.
And I am your host, Malcolm Hayes. You can find me on Facebook at Malcolm Hayes. You can find me on Anchor at A Few Thoughts. You can find me on Instagram at MJD Hayes. That was A Few Thoughts. I'll see y'all next week. Thank you.